Hello, how's everybody doing today? Um, Today we're working on a new topic, which is problem and solution. Hopefully, you're enjoying the week. And here we go. Problem and solution. Stories include a problem and a solution. Sometimes a problem is in the beginning of the story, not necessarily always in the beginning, but mostly in the beginning. And also sometimes the solution is at the end. Not all the time, like I said. So sometimes. That's why I put in the word. Um, where's my writing? Here it is. That's why I put in sometimes and sometimes. Okay. So what does a problem consist of? The problem can be between characters, right? And with one person or more than one. Maybe between a group of people or something going on wrong in the world, right? Depending on what we're reading about. And those are the type of problems that we could identify, right? So those are the type of things that we may see as a problem in a story. So let's keep going with the next slide. All right, it says signal questions. What does that mean? Signal questions. Well, questions that you can ask yourself to identify the problem and the solution within the story. The first three questions that I have here are mainly for the problem, right? So let me go ahead and circle that for you and identify it. For example, let me get a color out here. This one could be, what is the problem? Right? Simple question. What's going on that is a problem? What's going on that can be seen as a problem, right? What's wrong? Like, can you answer that question? What's wrong with what you just read? What's going on wrong in there in the story that you just read, right? Next would be, why is this a problem? Makes you think, right? Why would that be a problem? Or what's going on in the story that could cause this or make this a problem? Okay, the next would be, the next three, let me color it in a different color, would be, sorry, I kind of went over that part. I keep going over the right thing. Sorry, guys. Is there anything being done to try to solve the problem? Meaning, is there something that is being changed in order for us to be a better at it, right? Or solve the solution, give ourselves a solution. Did it get better? The question is, did it get better? Did things change? How was it solved? Meaning, what steps were taken in order for it to resolve the problem, right? Because everybody knows what problem means. Problem is something that is wrong, right? Something that you're trying to solve. And a solution, of course, is the answer to that problem, right? So those are the main things or the questions or signal questions we could ask ourselves when it comes to trying to identify what a problem is and what the solution was to that problem or to that reading that we had, okay? We're gonna go to the next slide. Our next slide says that what are signal words? Signal words meaning what words can I use to identify the problem or to identify a solution in there, right? Words that can be used to identify the problem and solution are, for example, why is that moving? So we go undo that. Okay, so here in this particular slide, it says we have the words as answer. For example, the answer is this, or our answer could be this in a sentence, right? When our reading, we have also, as a result of something happening in the story, because this, and that, right? We also have a word consequently. We have dilemma, in order to, leads to, reason for, solution, problem, question, since, so that, and The puzzle is this. So those are some key words that might not be the only words that we could use, but those are the main ones usually used, and that help us identify the problem or a solution within our reading. Those are kind of at times hard to remember, all of those, if we try to remember the list. But if we practice enough times, problems and words and reading, we could identify those words as words that give us clues, right? Words that give us the signal, because sometimes, because answer is the same thing as solution, right? Or the result, right? Those are answers. Those are giving you a conclusion about something. And some of these words are just, like I said, examples, and these are mainly some words that are used to identify the problem or the solution within the reading. And don't worry, we're gonna go over a story together, and we're gonna answer a question together, and hopefully it's simple and straightforward. I believe it's very straightforward to identify a problem and to identify a solution within our reading, and it should be a very smooth learning part. Okay, and let's go ahead and go on with our problem to practice. And I do with you, and it's pretty straightforward. Problem, solution. We all have problems, right? We all have a solution to whatever goes on at maybe even at home. All right, we'll talk about that in a minute. Also, examples of stuff like that could be happening at home. X's out first and go on to the question here. All right, so let's read this together as a class, and we'll try to identify the question at the end and see if we can answer it. All right, so it says, Amina was not surprised when she got a poor grade on her book report. She had waited until the last minute to do the assignment, and it had been far from her best work. She decided she could not let that happen again. When her teacher assigned it the next book report, Amina chose a book at the start and started reading it the very next day. She started writing her report as soon as she finished the book. She took her time and did her best work. Amina's plan paid off when she got an A on her report. Okay, question here is, what happened, right? It says, what happened? What problem did Amina have, right? What happened here in the story that can we say it's a problem? That's where we're identifying first the problem. Well, after reading the story, we realized that it's a girl that was doing a class, and she failed the class at first, and then she did better at the end, right? But what the actual problem is that she waited until the last minute to do the assignment. As you can see, she waited the last minute to do the work. So what happens when you wait to do the work at the very last minute and you try to hurry and rush through it? Well, obviously, if you're rushing through it, you're not going to do well, right? So that's part of the problem. So the main problem there is that she rushed to do that. We don't see anything else in the reading. She decided she would not let it happen again. Okay, that's something that she decided to do afterwards. They didn't talk about anything else that was negative here. Remember, also the problem is something negative. And I don't see Amina chose a good book. Chose a book and started reading it. She started writing her report. She took her time. I don't see anything else. So the main problem here, I think, that shows us is that she waited until the last minute to make that assignment. So what happens when we do that, even when we put ourselves in that situation or in the story, if you ever decided to do something last minute and you didn't take your time to do it right, then what happened? You didn't do so well, right? If you have a multiplication test tomorrow and you didn't study tonight and you decide, well, you know what, I'm going to study in the morning on our way to school. You study on your way to school, you didn't have enough time to study for that multiplication quiz. And you take the test and you fail it because you didn't put enough effort into it. So that's our problem. But now, they didn't ask about solution, they didn't ask about nothing, it's just the problem, okay? So let's go on to the next part, next slide. it says the same thing. Let's read the story again, but this time we're focusing only on the question. It says, how did Amina solve the problem? So how did she solve this problem? So now we're focusing on how she solved it. So let's read it again. Amina was not surprised when she got a poor grade on her book report. She had waited until the last minute to do the assignment, and it had been far from her best work. She decided she could not let this happen again. When her teacher assigned the next book report, Amina chose a book and started reading it the very next day. She started writing her report as soon as she finished the book. She took her time and did her best work. Amina's plan paid off when she got an A on her report. So how did Amina solve the problem? Remember in the beginning, in the previous slide, it was the same story. She had a problem. We knew the problem, what it was. She didn't study enough time, and she just did it too quickly. Now that she said that, what is her solution to the problem? Well, what did she do? What did she do differently, right? Or what was her steps in solving this? That's the type of stuff you ask yourself. How did she make a difference this time? Well, right away, we also identify in our reading that her next step was that she decided that she would not let this happen again. So is that the solution? No, that's not a solution. It's just something that she mentioned, right? But her teacher signed the next book report. No, that's not a solution. Amina chose a book and started reading it the very next day. She started writing her report as soon as she finished the book. She took her time. Okay, there you go. Amina chose a book and started reading it. Is that a solution? The very next day to her bad grade? No. She started writing her report as soon as she finished the book. Is that a solution? Those are steps that she's doing that are different than she didn't do in the beginning, but they're not an actual solution. I think that her solution is that she took her time and did her best work. So she took her time. I think that's the difference between the first problem. Remember, the problem was that she just did something and jumped on it and started doing it. So this time she took her time. So we can honestly say that our solution is to solve the problem would be that she took her time to do her best work. And that's the bottom line for everything, even with our math work, even with stuff at home. If we take our time to clean our room, to clean a garage, or do whatever you have to do at home, or even at school, your homework, your tests, your quizzes. If you take your time, do the work right, you're gonna do well. And that's what it's about, making sure that you make the time to do things right and do things well for your family and for yourself, and make sure that this is how we figure out what our solution was here in this story, right? Thank you very much for listening. Let's go ahead and just go on to the next part, next slide. All right, don't forget to click below on this video and post to Class Dojo some of the work that you've been doing, and hope you liked it and enjoy it. If you don't understand something, or you feel like you have a question still after this instructions, after these messages, after this reading, and after the assignments, please contact me, send me an email. Make sure you are working also on your resources. Work hard, do your best to get it done. I know that these are times that there are sometimes a little difficult for all of us to get on a routine, but just make sure that you guys are constant communication with me if you need something, okay? Work strong, do well, and I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, click below, get it done.